Retro.
And welcome everybody to a Patreon preview episode of the Animaniacs.
Do you know who I am?
No, but maybe if you hum a few bars.
I am Ludwig von Beethoven, world-famous composer and pianist.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
And welcome everybody once again to the Animaniacs. This, of course, is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows in the Rueggerverse, such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. But today, since it's Labor Day weekend, we decided to give a special episode of kind of a Patreon preview, like I said before. This is one of the episodes that we have available over at patreon.com/Animaniacs, and it features not only Tom Ruegger, the creator of Animaniacs, but also writer, actor, puppeteer. It's Paul Rugg, yes, the voice of Freakazoid, and of course one of the writers of Animaniacs who wrote some of the funniest episodes. And this particular one was the first one that he wrote. That's right, we're going to be doing a commentary track here that was for episode 17 of Animaniacs, which features Roll Over Beethoven and The Cat and the Fiddle. So, cue up that episode on Hulu or DVD or what have you, and be prepared to learn a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on with this episode. Of course, this episode originally came out in April for our patrons, and we thank them so much for their support, I should say, and for supporting our show. See, no, I got it. My brain's somewhat working. Well, special thanks to our patrons Anthony, Bemused Horseman, Christian, Ethan Ashir, Kyle, McCoy, MJ, Nebby, Ketzel, Rapid Kirby, Tamara, The Guaranteed Engine, The Cartoon Gamer, Weffy, Marjorie, Marty, Melissa, Brian, and Micah. You guys are all helping keep the lights on and supporting our show, and some of them are even getting additional bonuses, such as Animaniacs decals that I create, but also some of them are also getting signed Animaniacs trading cards signed by Tom Ruegger, and obviously the inventory on that is limited. So if you're interested in getting a signed card from Tom, you want to go over to patreon.com/Animaniacs, check out that $20 level, and that way you get not only the commentaries and the decals, but also each month you'll be getting a new signed trading card. So it's all available over there on our Patreon. Thank you so much to our patrons. And let's go ahead and get right into our conversation here with Tom and Paul about this episode. So it's me, Nathan, Kelly. We're all there too, but I hope you enjoy this, and if you'd like more, here's that address one more time, patreon.com/Animaniacs. And thank you so much to our patrons for their support. Welcome, patrons! We are back here with episode commentaries with Tom Ruegger, and we are so happy that episode 17, we have a special guest with us, because this gentleman wrote one of the cartoons that we're going to watch today. That's right. We have the writer of Roll Over Beethoven, which is featured in episode 17. Mr. Paul Rugg is also with us today. Welcome, Paul.
Yay!
Yay! Sound effects.
Yes, Paul is so. I'm so glad you're able to join us today. This is fantastic. We're watching, of course, the first episode that you wrote for Animaniacs, right?
Yeah, Beethoven, yes. This is the first thing I ever wrote on Animaniacs, and it was my test. It was my my audition, I think, yeah. But I didn't know that then. I knew that I was hired to write one episode And I had met with Tom and Sherry, and it was very, very pleasant. And I thought, well, that was very nice. But I didn't know that what they knew, which was, if you do this well, you won't have to eat at 7-Eleven every night. And so, and
Paul,
I'm very,
Paul,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Paul and John both were given like the first two premises that existed for the show, and were asked on a freelance basis to go write these scripts. It was Roll Over Beethoven and Dracula.
Right. And we got him on the same day, and he went to his house, I went to mine, and I think we checked in with each other like 3 times a day. I was like, how's yours going, John? And he'd be like, well, I'm on page 10. And I'd be like, I'm on the first paragraph. And so, yeah, it went like that for a week. He said, I've already rewritten mine 10 times. And I was on the second paragraph. And yeah. So anyway, that's what I remember.
Let me ask you, was there an outline involved?
Yeah, but it was only literally like, it was less than a paragraph, I think. It was, which was awesome, right? Because I hate outlines, but it was like they goof on. Yeah, I think you remember. I think you guys used the term "goof on." They goof on Beethoven, and which I was like, okay, I'll still write for it, and it was they goof on Beethoven, and I think you and Sherry had a few specifics, like, but I can't recall what they are, but maybe my memory will be jogged when we look at this. But yeah, there were a few little things.
I think one of the things I was pressing for, and I don't know why I remember this, but I definitely wanted you to roll with the pianist concept.
Yes. So there's I'm a pianist. I was like, ooh, you're what? You're a pianist. So I think we did that. And then, but I remember then it was like blue skies. And this is the first episode where I ever struggled with a door concept, because right when I wrote this, Sherry also gave this sort of lecture primer on how you write animation, which is you call all the angles. And I took that very seriously, as I recall. It was like angle on, the yakko, widen out to reveal wacko, close on, and all this stuff. And I'd never written like that in my life. And so I know, I happen to remember, it took me 2 days to figure out where to put the camera for their entrance at the door. And and since that time, I have been plagued by cameras and doors, because I'm like, well, are you in the room should the camera be in the room, and should be on the other side of the door? I think I need to think about this quite a little bit longer. And so, so this was my first struggle with doors. And you'll see it doesn't really matter, but I took it very seriously. And OTS.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. I want to see these doors.
I want to see.
I hope we can freeze it at the door, because I want you to see exactly where I decided to put it.
Well, and
the listeners can pause both the podcast and the
exactly.
audio.
That'd be way too complicated.
Maybe you'll provide a little. Maybe I could write a little paragraph about what my thinking was about where the camera was with the door.
Paul, I know you're a fan of the Mel Brooks, the producers. You put, in fact, a lot. We've noticed a lot of little tributes to it in like, I've never been on a summer cruise, stuff like that. And you have Kenneth Mars in this one.
Yes.
Did you have a hand in that at all, or was that just happy coincidence?
I think maybe. I don't think so. Although I remain a Kenneth Mars fan. May he rest in peace. And I think I was such a Kenneth Mars fan that then we used him on another show, Freakazoid, as Dr. Gunther Hunterhanger in the Candlejack episode.
Yes. Well, way to go.
What happened?
Well, you'll be getting a visitor shortly, I'm sure.
Okay. Dr. Gunther.
I can't say his name.
He who shall not be named.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but so I'm like a huge Kenneth Mars fan. Plus, Kenneth Mars was brilliant in a movie called What's Up, Doc? That all of your fans,
Yes.
everyone should see that movie.
My dad had me watch that when I was a little kid.
And see,
made me
you're
a
fine.
better person. Yeah, see, I'm fine mentally. I'm almost there.
And before we start the show, though, before we watch this cartoon, I got to say that the Paul's and John's scripts arrived the same day. So Sherry Stoner is in the next office, and I hear her laughing out loud. And she doesn't really do that very much, but she's like laughing out loud. And she like screamed, "You gotta read this!" So I immediately start reading it, and I'm laughing out loud. And honestly, it was with these two scripts that we realized, wait, we actually, and we didn't know this until we read these two scripts. Wait, we actually have a show. It actually works. I mean, because Paul and John made it work. I mean, it's like we gave them like, all right, here's what the characters are. We gave them this like show Bible or character Bible, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. It took these two brilliant, funny people to like, spend all that time and energy and figuring it out, and they hit it out of the park.
Well, thanks, Tom. But also, it was from what you guys said on our way out the door, and we had talked about is that these are sort of the Marx Brothers, and that like really hung with me. So that sort of, I was like, oh, Marx Brothers. And so this is probably maybe the most Marx Brothery thing that I had done, because eventually then they sort of settled down from that, and they found their own thing. But for me on this one, they were Harpo,
Chico,
and Groucho, and either of the other two that are interchangeable in any movie. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Margaret Dumont as the beaver.
And Margaret Dumont,
beaver.
which is Beethoven takes the Margaret Dumont place here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we better get right into it. So once again, episode 17 featuring Rollover Beethoven, which was directed by Michael Gerard and written by Paul Rugg, and The Cat and the Fiddle, which was directed by Alfred Gimeno and written by Nicholas Hollander. And Nathan, what do we do to make sure that everyone is synced up to the same point as us?
All right. So start your episode. And then as soon as Bugs Bunny standing in front of the WB emblem fades to black, you pause it. And then Joey's going to tell you to unpause it in just a second.
All right. So are we ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and go. All right. So, of course, we have the theme song.
Yeah. So Paul has not said what his thoughts are on this. We've said a couple things ourselves.
Yes.
I never liked this. I'm just joking.
Actually,
I find it like it's the same thing every time.
I know.
Well,
wait, and switch.
Nathan and I were just talking about Super Strong Warner siblings the other day, though, and we all like the fact that that episode ends with them kind of going, the song, I mean, not the episode, but the theme song ends and the episode begins right away, showing that they are doing this live each and every episode.
Every single time. So
we should appreciate that.
Yeah.
They could just record it. It would save them some time. But,
and the bologna, but the bologna's fresh every day, which is important.
Exactly. You gotta get the fresh bologna.
Our bologna is fresh every day. Good.
Tom Bodett.
He actually recorded these and sent them in, right? He never came to the studio. Yeah.
He came a couple times. He did show up. He would be like in town. These were that concept was by Sweeney, Mark Sweeney. Good idea, bad idea. He loved Tom Bodett. Here's Paul Rugg.
Brilliant writer.
Take it, Paul.
Sausage capital.
So sausage capital of Europe. I threw that in. That was the first thing I wrote, and I was shocked when they actually said, "Okay, that's fine." I'm like, it normally never worked that way. Look at
Did you write in what songs he was going to be playing for?
I didn't. These are all. Kenneth Mars was so fun. I wanted him to say silly words too. I think he eventually did.
Great bit.
Okay, so this I was shocked that they actually allowed me to do that too. Oh, here comes the door. Here comes the door. I want everyone to look. See, that's where I put the camera with the door.
Oh.
I love their dance and everything about here too,
Yeah.
though. This is great.
So their voices are a little lower here. One of the first
Yeah.
recordings.
Now, I don't remember writing this, and I think Tom, you guys wisely added that in. That was
Well, it's those royalties.
so you can tell here, guys. This is a total Marx Brothers thing.
Yeah, give it a bird.
Beethoven is Margaret Dumont, and they are going to goof on him now.
Uh-oh. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah.
I like this joke.
Yeah, so gross.
In my ear.
Yeah. Now this is Tokyo Movie Shinsei's one of their very first Warner's cartoons.
You can see that for the most part they look really great. There's a few shots where they do look a little weird, but for the most part they look the way we're used to TMS doing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the interesting. The interesting about writing this was it was like one. Oh, okay. Here comes their little spoons.
So cute, yeah.
So Tom, I remember you really liked their little spoons. I remember you telling me I love the little spoons part. You did. You're like the little spoons. It's cute.
And Tress delivered it very cutely.
Yep.
This is a real cute bit here, Paul. We should have done this
Yep.
again. We didn't.
Now that was one of the catchphrases that we never actually used a lot later. That was actually in the Bible.
Yep.
Now that is probably directly taken from a Marx Brothers movie.
Yeah.
And here comes the pee-pee talk.
Beautiful.
And by the way, in case everyone wants to know, that's the first time we ever recorded a good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That is,
Mm.
That
is
must have been in the
first-
show Bible, right?
Absolutely.
Was it? Yes, I think it was.
What?
Okay.
Was
Good
good
night,
night, everybody,
everybody.
in the Bible?
Or it was written by Paul. It's one of those
Mm.
two.
One of the two, I guess.
I don't think I ever. Maybe I did.
We got our money's worth out of good night, everybody, though.
Yes, indeed.
I don't even need to hear that again.
It was a great cue for the kids to know, wait, I got to
Yeah,
re-listen
that
to
was
that.
dirty.
What do they say?
And you'll all probably notice we hadn't gone back to the door.
Stay as far away from the
Because
door.
that would have been too complicated.
You know what
They're goofing
Vienna sausage means? It's really, Vienna is a wiener. Vienna means wiener in German.
Oh,
There you go. Oh, they did the Fifth Symphony burps. I just talked over it. Sorry.
Was that like a Wackarati pre or did we already have a Wackarati by now?
well, we
too,
did, but
actually?
this was written kind of.
Yeah, this was also made before, but
Yeah.
Well, they hum a lot with the Fifth Symphony here.
hmm
kind of like interesting seeing Yakko doing a Gookie and everything, basically, right there.
So Kenneth Barnes is basically doing his character that he did in Young Frankenstein,
Yeah.
by the way.
Mhm.
Inspector Kemp, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Footsteps.
Yeah.
Footsteps.
Wallowing in his
Footsteps.
grandfather's footsteps.
There's fabulous Baker Boys.
Yes. And at the time we were originally talking about this episode, we talked about how, as a kid, it's like, Fabulous Baker Boys is an R-rated movie. This is no kids are gonna get this. But,
Michelle Pfeiffer, and Dot's got cleavage here. It's bizarre. Wow.
you know,
Now,
No,
did you
I
write that,
think-
Paul?
Nope. I think that was an addition, which is good.
Totally ruins the cartoon, but I like that bit a lot, Paul. I love the oil,
Yep.
oil stick. Oh,
Tell you, as the first thing I ever wrote, I was like, "What can I do now? Can he do that? I don't know. Is that allowed? Well, I guess we'll just try it."
we love this script so much that we really didn't like. I think we were supposed to be making 7-minute cartoons. We said, no, we're just going to let this go as long as this script is going. I think it was probably a 10-minute cartoon, don't you think?
well, there is a commercial break, I believe, in it. There is. I think it's there's a break. I think maybe
think
not.
there
It's hard to
is.
tell on the DVD. See, this is where it gets a little evil.
Yeah,
I
it gets a little dark here.
think. It's going to.
Well, I mean, this is taken from the best of Warner Brothers, right? So it's like,
Oh, yes, that's true.
with a hammer and wood and hammering things up.
Yep.
And
I can see Sylvester doing this to
Yes.
Tweety. Yeah.
yeah. But murder.
Oh,
And
Oh, okay. So that was from the Bible.
so
Tom, do you have any idea how much we used the "Have You Seen Our Pet," or was this it?
no, we probably, I'd say 5 times. What do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah, at least.
Animaniacs at least.
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think at least 5.
I mean, Paul, you were the monster in the first
Monster.
time. I
That's
think.
right. That's right.
Oh, monster.
Oh, monster. Yep. Now this always made me sad because he looks hurt. Where's Mimi? And that's a
They never-
she. Yes.
They never did a wee wee though. I'm surprised.
Mm.
There's the Mr. Potty Mouth getting washed out again.
But like that time, he didn't even say pianist. They did.
Yeah, but they know it.
And you're a pianist, so
Oh, I get it. I love the Elvis and the albums.
They gave
yeah.
him. They
And
gave it to
Frank-
him. Tom.
Frank Sinatra, and he knows all of them.
Oh, it's.
Ah, yes, yeah.
They-
Yeah.
Paulie knew what
You
he
know-
was doing. First
So-
cartoon he ever wrote.
What's interesting though is you can see sort of like for me it's kind of one note, right? So it's like, but we learned from that there needed to be other elements. They couldn't just goof on 'em all the time. Not that I
Yeah,
don't
they-
like it, but yeah.
this is the most dark.
Yeah,
good idea.
that's
Bad
probably my
idea,
favorite
too.
good idea, bad idea is
Feeding
feeding stray
kittens
kittens.
to-
That was
in the park.
that was the first one
a bear.
Sweeney wrote.
Really,
The
feeding
first-
stray kittens to
dark-
a bear.
The dark, evil one. Now this show is animated by the New Zealand outfit, Freelance Graphics,
Yeah.
and it has some uniquely lethargic animation going on. But Rita sounds beautiful when she sings her song. She sounds great. This is Hector Elizondo performing Stradivarius and Pretty Woman. Was that what he was in? Yeah.
A few things, yeah. He said.
I love this song.
It's perhaps it's my favorite Rita song, I think. It's
a wonderful contrast. It's a wonderful contrast between what Paul's just done with the Warner Brothers driving, and then we got this sweet little sincere song. It's really quite the variety show.
So a lot of these shows have an adjoining theme, right? So what I guess music would be the one, I suppose, in this one, right? We have well, there's the violin in this thing. It's classical music, I guess we would say, right?
Mm-hmm. And the person trying to kill the people that are our main characters, the musician.
All right.
Yeah.
The characters who are annoyed by our stars turns out to be murderers. Yes.
That's what we were saying.
Now, ACOM and Freelance Graphics, they had their main issue was there would be gesture movements that were actually kind of unnecessary. So, and that's where TMS and Wang were really good. They just did the movements that were needed, and those always paid off well.
There's always a little extra mouth movement, it seems like that, or among other
Freelance
things.
Graphics, we would edit, Joe Gall and the other editors would just remove entire sections of film out of one movement, and it would just really tighten these cartoons up a great deal. By the way, cat guts are never used in the making of violin strings. Just so you know, it's just never used. I guess sheep intestines are used, but not cat.
Well, I'm never going to use a violin again. No.
Yeah, never. that gives. I'm never going to play violin. Mahi mahi.
That's my favorite line in this cartoon. I think. Mahi mahi. I see. What? There's a break.
Commercial break.
So, Paul, have you been?
I'm pretty good. I'm just watching it. It's been a long time, and it's interesting to hear what you're talking about with all these, all the studios and stuff. I have nothing to add.
You never wrote any. I don't think you ever wrote any Rita and Runt ones. Right?
Actually, I was one of my jobs. As soon as we finished the first group of scripts, I would sit with Tom and we would look at where a script needed to be punched up in the ADR phase. Oh. So my job, we would go through and go, geez, that line could be better. That line could get punched up, or that doesn't make sense. So we would look at it, and then I would go away and then write all these different, what had to fit the mouth flaps. I would write little alternatives and present them to Tom, normally on the morning that they had to be done. And Tom would go, no, yes, no, 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 no. So I did that for a lot of these.
Mahi mahi.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, was it mahi mahi?
and it really is kind of tough with the mouth flaps. You're limited. You're very limited.
And I think we actually rewrote the entire episode in the ADR phase.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't remember which one, so I can't.
Is that broadcast nuisance, maybe?
Maybe.
It was like based on the episode. It would have been like the Miss Flamille episode that was where all their mouths don't match.
For some reason, the only time I've ever
That was
seen
just an
Tom laugh
animation.
for 5 minutes straight and he couldn't breathe was when John McCann and I came up with an ADR line, which was Yakko says to the others, no, Dot says, let's dress up like ghosts and scare the crew. And I don't know what it's from. I wish I could remember. I go, Tom, look, this fits.
One that we edited into almost oblivion was Moby
Yes.
the Moby Dick episode.
Yes.
Moby or not Moby, I think, right?
It was
That's
like
the one, Tom. That's the one.
Yeah.
Let's dress
ADR.
up like ghosts and scare the crew.
Scare the crew. Yeah. And it was like an 8-minute cartoon, and I think comes out about 4 minutes now.
Yeah, we have yet to get to that one.
And I'll just add, even though it has nothing to do with this episode, in those days, we only had VHS tapes to look at the mouth flaps, and that's not a very precise thing. So I put the tape in, pause it, roll it back, move it forward. It was really hard.
I would think with freelance though, their lips are not very like synchronized necessarily with what they are truly saying.
They were very rubbery. The
you
mouth.
can kind of just put in whatever you want.
They almost never closed their mouths though, which is weird. If the mouth doesn't close, it's hard to make certain sounds, so it just looks weird.
And normally what we would do is we would not go by what the character sometimes looked like. We would go by the vowels and by the number of vowels in the original line. And that's how we would sure it would work.
Yeah, the syllables. Yep.
Right, syllables. Yes, that's the word, Tom.
See, that's why. Yeah, the consonants are important too. By the way, everyone, Earth to Ned.
Gotta watch it.
Earth to Ned. You must go see and watch and listen to Earth to Ned.
I've seen all the
Rugg.
episodes. Yeah, I've seen all the episodes, Paul, and I started watching them again with kids in my school. So when they're coming in at lunch or something like that, I'll have Earth to Ned in the background playing, and I'll just watch the kids just start turning their heads and just watching this.
What is this?
Yeah, what is it? It's very. They love it though.
Okay.
They're getting a kick out of it.
That's like runt.
And I say, I know that guy.
Here.
I know that guy. So that always impresses them.
Oh, cute ending. Oof.
That was very good.
That was cute.
Sweet.
Mm. But yeah, like that runt got to sing a little in that song too. 'Cause he
Yeah,
doesn't
Now
sing
you'll
so
notice
often.
Paul Rugg is listed supervising story editor, Paul Rugg. So he went from writing a script to, I don't know how many months between writing that first script and becoming a story editor, Paul?
So I've written this in December. I started working with you guys right after the first of the year. I don't know, 6 months maybe, or maybe a little longer.
Uh-huh.
Oh, show's over.
The clap
Goodbye,
on, clap
show.
off thing. The clapper. We still see those around every Christmas time. You'll still see the commercials for that. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Paul, for that first commentary with us.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was fun.
What's Amblin? What is that?
We'll figure it out next time.
Kelly will be more than happy to tell you all about Amblin. This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animaniacs unless otherwise indicated.